Imagine opening a letter from your future self, filled with all the answers that you'd wish you had. What if you could tell your younger self exactly what they needed to hear? I'm thinking today of a letter that I would have sent myself, if this was at all possible. I would have started the letter by saying, "You've got a wonderful life ahead of you. There are so many opportunities ahead of you. Don't be content with things just as they are, because that's what society expects of you." Now, what I mean here was that when I was young and I left school at 17, I think I was, 17. I left school at 17. I would have loved to have gone off to university, but I didn't think my parents could afford it. I felt that I needed to go to work and contribute, to the household. But I've always had this desire. I thought, I wish I had gone on to university. The interesting thing is that in later life, I did actually go and do my university studies. It was in 1990, when I was 40. I started doing a bachelor's degree by correspondence. Took me a wee while to get that done, probably over 10 years. And then I did a master's degree, and I did that on campus. The campus that I did it was only a short distance away. So I did do a postgraduate. But if I could talk to my younger self, I would have said to her, go and do it. Talk to your parents about it. See what they think. Don't just keep it all in your head and think that you know all the answers for all the family. If there's something that you want, go and talk to your parents about it. Now, in later years, I spoke to my mum and said to her how I always wished I'd gone to university, but I didn't feel that, the family was in any financial position to do that. And she just said to me, she says, "June, why didn't you tell us? Why didn't you tell us that that's what you wanted to do? Because we would have made it work." And so I would say to my younger self, talk to your parents about it. Don't just assume that you think you know what's best for the family and what's best for you. Go and talk to them about it. Let them in on the discussion and let them share with you what their thoughts are. So that's probably the first piece of advice I would give to my younger self. The next piece of advice, I remember when I was at school, at college, in our local town, there was a group called Volunteer Service Abroad who came into town, and they held an afternoon or an evening session discussing what Volunteer Service Abroad did. Obviously, they were trying to recruit people to get on board this Volunteer Service Abroad. And to me, it sounded amazing. Going over to these countries where we were able to give help and assistance, and all underneath this voluntary organisation. Now, I was too young at that stage. I think I was probably about 2 years too young to go, because I was still at school. But I think if I was able to say something to my younger self, I would say, revisit that option when you leave school. When you leave, you're looking at going to university. You've got another option there, which is the Volunteer Service Abroad, or you could even go and do your university and then go and do the Volunteer Service Abroad. But think about it, revisit it, go back and think again, do the research. Is this something that you really wanted to do? And did your idea of the family situation put you off doing it without discussing it with anybody? And I think probably I'm getting to a point where I'm thinking the best bit of information that I would definitely give to my younger self is be prepared to talk to people, especially family, and even the counsellors at school, the guidance counsellors, about the things that you want to do. But I do know at that time it was expected almost by society that a girl went out to work for a couple of years, she got married, and then she started having a family. Careers were something that were really not on the agenda at that stage. Unless you really, I mean, some people that had parents that could afford to put them through school and things like that, they would go and do their further education, normally becoming teachers or nurses or something like that. Never really even wanted to be a teacher, never really wanted to be a nurse. But I think, and outside of those two careers, women were limited on what they could do. And the thought of just going off and joining a volunteer organisation and heading off overseas to do volunteer work was something that really just wasn't done at that time, not from where I sat anyway. So in my letter to myself, I would say, go and do the research, talk to people about it. Definitely talk to people about it. The other thing I think too, at that particular point in my life, I think I lacked a lot of confidence in myself. I probably doubted myself a wee bit, and it wasn't a personal thing. I think it was really a societal thing. Women never seemed to be encouraged to be intelligent and to stand up in society and to be something. You were sort of considered, oh, who does she think she is? So there was always this idea of being suppressed. And that was the way I felt. But looking back, I would say, don't feel like that. Feel confident. Feel confident in your own abilities. Be strong. I've since realised that I have got a very strong character, strong personality. But in those days, I didn't. And I just thought, you know, you put your head down and you just go along with what society expects of you. Go to work a couple of years, get married, have children, and that's it. I remember my father-in-law even saying to me, once we got married, he said, oh, you'll be happy to give up work now. And no. And even they expected me to get married and then give up work. And I said, no, I'm going to keep on working until I have a family. And that's what I did. But they thought it was really strange. I don't think they liked the idea that their son's wife had to go out to work. And I went out to work because we wanted to get things for our house and things like that. And he felt it was quite a sort of smack on the family if anyone thought that I had to go out to work to help support us. And I think now what such an archaic attitude that was. But he wasn't the only one that thought like that. Lots of people thought like that. And I never did, because my mum had always worked. My mum had always worked. She worked with Dad on the farm when they were farmers, and when we moved into town, Mum worked in a clothing factory as a machinist, and then she moved then on to working in a telephone exchange. So my mum always worked. So for me, it was never something that just wasn't done by women, because my mum had always done it. And I thought, if it's all right for my mum, it's all right for me. And that's why I wanted to carry on working. But I think probably, talking to my younger self now, I would say, think twice about when you got married. I had thoughts at that time that this is what society sort of demanded of young girls, or young women, I should say. And if you didn't get married and have kids by the time you were in your early 20s, you were thought to be on the shelf. And that was a fate worse than death, I'm afraid. So we just got married. But now, if I could talk to my younger self, I would say, There is so much opportunity out there. The world is going to change so much. There is so much in store for young women. So many opportunities. Some of them you're going to have to really fight for. Some of them, yeah, some of them you're really going to have to fight for. And others you'll be thinking, oh God, is this all worth it? But a lot of women have fought hard for the things that we've got now. And I would like to think that I would have been able to tell myself, be one of those that fight for the things that women have got now. Don't just sit back and go along with what society dictates. So when I look back and think, what would I have told my younger self? I would have probably, in a nutshell, was just saying, don't think that life as it is today is going to stay like that, because it's not. It's going to advance, and you need to make sure that you're on the upward curve with change, instead of being stuck down in the valley, adhering to all the societal expectations. Be prepared to get on top of that wave and ride your way to the top. And that's something I would definitely recommend for my younger self. So that's my thoughts on that issue. So I will finish now for the day. So if you've enjoyed this video and got any sort of value out of it at all, please like, share or comment, and even subscribe to my channel. That would be great. So in the meantime, I will get going. I will wish everybody a safe day, a safe week, and take care, and I'll see you again in the next one. Okay, bye.